Welcome to Boots in Baltimore. I'm LeeAnn Blanchard. I'm sitting here with Libby Francis-Baxter, owner of the Modest Florist. So, why did you name your store the Modest Florist?
I get asked that question a lot, and honestly, has nothing to do with my being humble or otherwise. This goes back to back in my college days when I was a mod, and I had my Vespa scooter. Actually, have Vespa scooters to this day, mini skirts and go-go boots, Mary Quant, and all of that. So I am actually just the most mod florist.
Modest.
Right.
Got it. Got it. That makes sense. So, how did you become a florist?
Actually, by accident. So it all started off 30-something years ago. I was living in Woodstock, Vermont. I just moved there after school, and I was looking for a job. And I went to a local restaurant where I was hoping to get a bartending job. Turns out they didn't have anything available there, but they had a little shop next door to the restaurant, which was not only a little luncheon cafe, but it was also a full-service ice cream soda fountain and a florist, all in one shop. It was amazing. It was the most incredibly cool place. They hired me actually to manage the cafe portion because I knew food. But you know, a couple of months in, the manager of the floral side and I had this discussion about, you know what, it would make sense if all of us were sort of cross-trained on this. So we started an apprenticeship with a lovely woman who was actually was well-known among garden clubs of America, Lucia Armstrong Williams. We did a proper, good old-fashioned apprenticeship way back when, and learned all the tricks of the trade. So I have, over the course of the years since then, I've kind of gone back and forth between the food business and the flower business. But when I turned, you know, a certain age, I decided that I was going to open my own shop and go back to the thing that I loved.
I think that's great. So do you make the arrangements?
I do everything, actually. So I'm actually a one-woman shop.
Okay.
I do have good friends who help on, you know, big days, Valentine's, Mother's Day, whatnot. But no, everything that you see, both on the website, anything that's here in the shop is made by me. I even do my own deliveries. So,
so personal service.
Very much so.
Very personal. So how many events and weddings and things do you do in a year?
Okay, so that's a huge one. Now, obviously, that was affected by COVID, but we're actually, you know, we're picking back up again. And even so, we actually still did a lot of very fun sort of virtual things and whatnot throughout the course of the pandemic. But now we're getting back to normal. Typically, in terms, you know, it's usually between like, big events, 6 to 10 per month. And so it depends on, you know, what month it is.
Right.
You know, obviously we've got our big wedding seasons in the springtime and especially in the fall in Baltimore. It's very big, as well as, you know, as well as just the other things going on. We've got graduation parties, we've bridal showers, the whole, you know, kit and caboodle. So we do everything.
Yeah, everybody thinks June weddings, but that's not here.
Oh no, it's too hot. Although we do. I actually did a wedding just this past weekend in July, and that was exciting. Yeah. Yeah. No.
So how do you come up with the arrangements?
Well, so something that makes me a little different from, well, actually a lot different from most conventional florists these days is everything that I have is actually locally grown. So it's what we have that's in season in the Mid-Atlantic. That includes actually year-round because we gratefully, knock wood, still have a couple of these venerable old family-run greenhouse growers who are able to provide us cut flowers through the wintertime as well. So, but right now, everything is sort of dictated by what's available. So big summer flowers right now, you know, popular, probably the queen of the summer flowers are all the dahlias. We've got, you know, zinnias and of course sunflowers and all of those big bold colors that you associate with the hot days, you know, of summer. Very soon we'll be moving into fall, and you know, fall brings along, we've got mums and all kinds of different interesting fun things like pods and that sort of, you know, which are all the really fun fall things, right? And then, you know, after the first frost we'll move into which is normally in our area is November. So we move to our greenhouse growers for cut flowers, and so they will have the more traditional sort of things that we would have around Christmas time. For instance, if you're thinking about it, we've got first off live poinsettias, which also come from a local greenhouse grower that we love up in the county. as well as cut poinsettias and, all those other kind of fun things that you associate with the holidays. So, it just goes full circle. So every season, pretty much as it
There's
progresses,
something new every time you
right,
come in.
exactly. And that's, and it can actually change from day to day. In fact, just the other day, I was changing my website because there was one thing that had been in season, which has now gone out of season. And you check the website pretty frequently because I literally can be updating it as often as daily just to make sure that what we have that's on there is in season now.
It's actually
will
here.
still be here in a week, there.
So how do you choose the flowers and the color palettes and the color palettes of the things that you do, the events, and kind of planning? You've got a bouquet and the tabletop decorations or whatever.
So that's a really good one. Mostly because some of it, of course, is going to be what it is that the event planner, bride, whomever, the colors that they have and whatnot. But a lot of it really is just my knowing what those items are that will meet the needs for that color, that appearance and whatnot, and also just personal style. There's again with the foundation of traditional floristry, all the mechanics and the balance and the negative space, all that stuff all plays into what something becomes. But in the end, it's just a matter of really style. That's kind of it.
Yeah. I don't think people realize how much artistry there is in arranging so that it looks nice. Yeah, it's not just taking a bunch of flowers and going.
Yeah, in fact, actually, it's true because you're right. And I would say there are certain forms of floristry which are very specific in how they look. Ikebana is a particularly classic example. There's very high style, contemporary European and whatnot. But you're right. In all of those, even if it's just country or wildflowery or whatever it is, there is a sense of all of those, like again balance and form and how that and also ultimately in mechanics too, because it needs to hold up as well.
Right. Right. So how far in advance do people need to place an order?
Right now, just because it's summertime and it can be a little dodgy, weather-wise, I like to at least get 24 hours notice, but you can place your order on the website right up until midnight the night before, and we'll make sure that we have your order out the next day. So there we go.
And they can come to the shop or get it delivered?
Yep, absolutely. And actually delivery within a 2-mile radius of here is free. One of the founding principle of my shop is all about sustainability. And so one of the things that I really wanted to encourage is not only just shopping local, but also thinking about what that means in terms of sustainability, and really to encourage people to order right here within our neighborhood or the surrounding neighborhoods as well, means that we create density of delivery, meaning that there's less usage of the delivery vehicle, and so it's less of an environmental impact.
Yeah. You don't think about that like, oh, I'm using a sustainable grower, but I'm spending, how many gallons of gas to get it from here to there.
Right,
Yeah,
exactly. So it's one gigantic picture. So, everything about this place, I mean, from my thrifted furniture to the fact that I actually basically don't buy any glassware. People donate
recycled glassware.
Yeah, absolutely. You reuse it all the time. I encourage folks to just drop off whatever glassware you have, leave it in front of the shop if you come by at night or whatever. We know people have a lot of that stuff just collecting dust under the kitchen sink. So, yep.
That's really cool. And it is, you can tell, because everything in here is unique, it's charming, and different every time. So what makes you different from other florists in Baltimore?
The biggest difference is that everything I do here is based on sustainability at its core. And I think what's important to recognize is that there are other folks who are doing locally grown flowers. For instance, a lot of the flower farmers I work with, they do their own. They do farmers markets. They also do weddings and events. And there are other folks who do just special events. But to be a full service retail florist that's the real trick, is because we need to be able to provide consistent service year round, regardless of the season. And what I love is when people walk through the door or they look at my website, they may not know that everything that is coming to you has been locally grown, sustainably sourced, reused or recycled containers. None of that. What they want is they're looking for something that fits their mood, is, it's going to uplift their friend who needs a get well gift, or it's something for a happy birthday, or it's I'm sorry, whatever that is. And then as an added bonus, realize, hey, wait a second, this is all sustainable.
Yes, I'm doing good. I'm feeling good and doing good.
Right.
Because I think flowers, more than anything, are gifts of emotion.
Yes.
And I think that's beautiful how you're able to kind of capture the immediacy of that emotion, because it's everything that's right now.
It's interesting. I love that you're talking about that, because flowers, have been used by humans as ways to acknowledge important events in life, going back to literally the ancient Egyptians. So this is a very long-standing tradition, and it's really an honor and a privilege to be able to be a part of these significant moments in people's lives. And I mean, if you think about it, from when you get the flowers that get sent to the hospital when your baby's born,
things,
right?
Yeah.
And then flowers for your prom, flowers for your wedding, flowers for your anniversaries, flowers for name your event, and even flowers for your funeral. So it literally is. I get to share in the most important parts of people's lives, and it's a really incredible, amazingly humbling.
Well, maybe that's where modest comes from. So, why Hamden?
Hamden, absolutely. So I actually came to know of Hamden when I was still living in DC, where I'd lived for a good portion of my adult life. Met my now husband, who lived here. It was he invited me to come up here and see his new home. He had just bought a house here, and I immediately fell in love with the place. It's our little village in the city. I grew up in New England, so I am very comfortable with the idea of having your your village square, the village green,
a walkable neighborhood,
exactly,
with everything available.
Right, and I saw exactly that here, and it's actually but in a much more diverse and quirky and fun and interesting way. I mean, the thing that's amazing to me about right along the avenue and the shops that are kind of within the rest of Hamden, nearly every single one is independently owned, independently curated. So you're not going to be, if you walk into, Atomic Books, you're not getting the booksellers list that every Barnes and Noble has. If you walk into, and name your gift shops, you're not going to be getting everything that you see at the mall. And I found that I knew that there was going to be a place for something, for
whatever you wanted to do,
a florist that was going to be not traditional, and traditional in the sense of the services I provide, but untraditional in the sense of having everything be independently curated. And I think that's the most amazing thing about Hamden.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I think this is the area for the opposite of generic.
Yes.
If you are weird and quirky, or just individual, artistic, just have a passion for something, you can find your people here. You can find, like you said, a village here.
Yep, absolutely. So, and by the way, after that, at that first trip, I bought a house here myself. So there you go.
Well, I can't blame you.
Yeah,
it's a wonderful area. So thank you so much, Libby. This was delightful.
Oh, LeeAnn, I'm so glad I had a chance to tell you a little bit about my story.
Oh, I'm so glad. Well, again, this is LeeAnn Blanchard, Boots in Baltimore. Please stop by the Modest Florist. It's amazing.